All right. So yeah, so basically I'm having difficulty getting my brain back into fate space.
Okay.
Into or maybe it's just the setting, I don't know. I'm just having trouble coming up with I guess I'm trying to think of a way to word it so it makes sense. I guess I'm having trouble coming up with an adventure concept
Okay.
for this setting. And it might just be that the setting just doesn't fit with how I normally think about adventure. So I mean, I have like the core of an idea here. We've got the political stuff with the lieutenant governor and the that sort of thing, and we've got the red caps and the precursors and all of that. But those are kind of looming threats. Like the real problem I think I
What
have
was
is
the current issue? What was the current issue from our Spark
oh,
setting?
let me pull it up real quick. Hold on. Come on. Oh, there's the school.
Oh, Spark.
I went too far.
Was it? Did you share that?
I did.
I think so. I remember seeing it.
And now I'm having trouble finding it.
Okay.
Shit.
Probably in space. It's called Probably in Space.
Yes, it is. And that's okay.
Okay, current issues. Probably the last part. Places, faces, and places. Sparks.
Okay.
Rain's Livings fails. That was a current issue.
Oh right, yeah. The current issue is
lieutenant,
and that's why I brought in the lieutenant governor to.
So what I do in this case is, I mean, basically, first off, I try to find out what's the dramatic question. Right? I mean, that's just like writing 101, right?
Yeah. And I think maybe that's where I'm losing myself here. So I get what's dramatic about this on a historical, on a macro scale. I'm trying to think of because again, the scale of this has got to be somewhat smaller because we're going for a fairly small scale story.
If this is going to be an adventure, I see two ways to address this. Either it is important to know why it failed, or it is important because what I mean for the characters. What are we supposed to do about that?
Right, and so there's a dramatic question, like that's what we've got to figure out is the dramatic question, and the dramatic question can be something like, will we figure out what we need to do to make the resleeving work again before the governor dies? That's dramatic. That's a dramatic question.
The other part was the panic in the streets and stuff like that.
Okay. All right, now
will we be able to do this before word gets out and the mob storms the governor's mansion, thinking, "Hey, we don't need to worry about this dude anymore. We can kill him. This is our chance."
Okay, I've got now an idea, or at least a core one, because I think that's a good. Because you've already got an enemy of the lieutenant governor, so if the governor dies in the resleeving, you guys are hosed.
Right. And then, so basically, the majority of my planning process for a Fate campaign arc is one, figure out what is the dramatic question. That's step number one. And step number two is, who are all the people interested in this question? Who are all the people that have a stake in this that may want this resolved one way or another?
We actually had that in the Spark part of we had who was for this, or who was supporting this, or who was opposing this.
And that's a good start, but I usually like to have about 4 or 5 groups ready and prepped to go.
Yeah.
That may get brought in at various levels.
Well, we've got already at least 4. We've got the lieutenant governor. We've got Rose.
Right.
We've got the governor or his people, probably not him directly as ever going to talk to you, but some some functionary of his who's on his side, because the lieutenant governor's not necessarily on his side. The lieutenant governor's on the lieutenant governor's side. And so you'd have the governor's man probably come to you.
Right. And I feel like there should be a civilian presence somehow.
Yeah, and then
like
there's the prophet in the street or whatever. You know, the guy who's like, this is the end times because the governors are dying and, you know, we're going to get eaten by the precursors or whatever.
Misa's coming in.
Okay.
Cool. Please join us. From there, I'd sit there and say, you know, also, I mean, it could be La Resistance, you know?
Yeah.
The Mole. You know, and so we can have that, and, you know, maybe some interesting factions that, like, might kind of indicate why the sleeping tail that might be that might be involved in it failing in some way or shape or another, right? That's another interesting faction to me. And so then what I do is basically I kind of set out their agendas. What are these groups going to do? What are their or what are their plots and plans? I English speak good.
The potted plants.
And so then they start moving, and where you'd plop the PCs in can be like right before they start moving, right as they're starting their first moves, or right after their first moves. And now the PCs are involved in the midst of this giant mess of things. And of course, as the PCs get involved, they change the trajectory of the pool balls. That's basically my nutshell version of starting a Fate campaign.
Okay. Because, yeah, like I said, what you're saying is sounding familiar. But like I said, I've been running OSR games for about 2 years now. So I have kind of lost my, I don't know if I ever had a knack, but if I did, I've definitely lost it, or lost my edge anyway, because I'm.
And if you think about it, what I've just described is a lot closer to like prep for writing a novel.
Yeah. No, I was basically I'd gotten caught up in the macro level where I'm like, okay, how do I what is this? What's going on? So no, I think you're right. If I can get like 4 or 5 faces.
Yeah, and OSR is an entirely different style of gaming where
Yeah,
it's all about what are the things you're going to go explore? Where you know, what are you going to delve through? Where are the places and the challenges? And it's not the who are the people and what are their agendas. It's totally opposite.
Mm-hmm. No, it's true. Because I remember when I went to OSR from Fate, I was running games very, very wrong. Everybody was looking at me weird. I'm like, what? This makes sense to me. And then they're like, but that's not how we play this. I'm like, oh, right. Okay. So
we're supposed to get a MacGuffin. What are you doing?
All right. Hey, Mies, can you hear us?
I can. Sorry, I was a bit belated there.
No worries.
So, hi.
I just figured you were trolling us week in and week out. That was
No, I got distracted with some video games, then I lost track of time.
Well, there you go. That'll happen. I've been playing Pillars of Eternity lately, so I know the feeling. Can lose whole afternoons there, just gone. All right, well, now we get to have the fun part of bringing in a character to an existing group.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. Actually, it's always a fun bit with Fate. So, do you know what everybody else is playing, or no?
I have a general idea. I watched the feed on ×2 speed earlier today.
Sweet. That's how I live my life. ×2
Right.
speed. And Jake years. This is
like
taken
this?
for.
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer that question.
Well, no, to me. At 2 times speed. Did my voice sound like this?
No, it was just very sped up in the syllables, and there was very limited delays in between the pauses.
Very clipped.
Yes.
I've watched feeds that way too. It's an odd experience. Sometimes I do it on accident, and that's even worse. All right. So, what were you thinking, concept-wise?
High concept. I was thinking. Mercenary with nothing to lose. For high concept.
Okay. Okay. So would that mean that you were one of the war sleeves? You know, one of the people who were born special?
He says with nothing to lose. I hear willing test subject.
There you go.
Well, he's already put himself in a new body, so it's not like he's attached to the current body, right?
Whatever, I can just get downloaded somewhere else. It's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal. Oh, wait, the re-sleeving process is failing sometimes.
It's fine. It's fine.
That's a problem for tomorrow. All right. Okay. So, so you're thinking maybe like a a mercenary war sleeve. So it means you did your time for the Methuselahs, and then you went off on your own afterwards. That does establish that. Sorry. That mercenaries exist in this setting, which we had not established prior to this moment. So.
Well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be like a mercenary. It could just be considered like a freelancer within the current corporations.
He's a shady mercenary. Okay.
Nice.
Okay. I paste some of the sheets, the links to the sheets.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so what were you thinking high concept wise?
I was thinking with high concept mercenary with nothing to lose.
Okay. Sounds good. Now comes the trouble.
I think my trouble is uncompleted contracts.
I'm not sure how I would use that.
I haven't finished jobs that I've said that I finished. Like maybe I said I killed someone and I didn't, and they pop back up on the radar, and then that's kind of a hit on my reputation.
I think. Well, I'm not sure about that. Because I always saw trouble, and please, anyone, feel free to correct me, but I always kind of saw trouble as that part of yourself that is always stopping you from getting what you actually want.
I think troubles can be external. I personally have no issue with that. I mean, Han's trouble in A New Hope is pretty clearly Java wants his money.
Oh, see, I always thought his trouble was not quite as cool as my co-pilot, but. But that's only because Chewie does all of his work in his PJs. So.
That's true.
And we
you guys
all
seen that comic where he comes home and everyone else is wearing clothes, and Han's like, "Wait a minute."
Makes as much sense as anything. All right. So okay. So
maybe it's not necessarily uncompleted contracts. Just like I'm not necessarily completing all of my contracts. If I find a way to falsify completion, I will falsify that completion.
Well, again, my issue isn't the uncompleted contracts. My issue is I'm not certain how I can bring that into play.
Okay.
How do you see that being compelled, Mies?
Yeah, that's my question, I guess.
I see, like, we're doing something. Let's say that we're doing just some sort of basic reconnaissance. And while we're doing basic reconnaissance and I'm interacting with people, someone recognizes me and they tell a third party, and then the entire group is fucked because they've alerted the authority because this guy said he killed this guy. They have information that this guy wasn't killed, so I falsified this contract, and now our ship's locked down and we can't leave and we need to find a way to get the fuck out of there. Or maybe I've gotten arrested because of this, because they finally, like, called in my debts or something like that.
So Han, since Java wants his money, doesn't it make sense that you take the money and leaving them alone for the to do the attack on the Death Star, at least the first part of it? So Han, since Jabba wants his money, doesn't it make sense that a bounty hunter would be sent to the city that or a bounty hunter would attract you to the city you're at?
I get that. I just think unfinished
I'm giving examples of good compels.
Yeah,
I'm trying to do off of an external trouble. That's what I'm trying to do here.
I once you said Han Solo, I got where you're going with that. I'm trying to think of a better way to phrase unfinished contract. Something like maybe
like if I'm like a hitman or like an assassin, like there's certain people that I'm going to pretend I kill you because I don't think it's right to kill you because it's wrong.
You could have like an unreliable reputation.
There you go.
Well, the thing with with what he's describing with unfinished contracts, the thing that steps out to me as the drama-inducing injection there is if there's unfinished contracts, then there's people that aren't happy about this.
Yeah, that's okay.
Or maybe
what trouble, since you have unfinished contracts, doesn't it make sense that one of the people that you have a contract with is somehow is in control of this station that we're at?
Yeah.
So like powerful enemies?
Basically.
That's probably much more, that's a better trouble, would be powerful enemies. Because if I do have unfulfilled contracts, this is assuming these people are very influential in the point where they have a substantial amount of funds and a liquid amount of funds where they could just dump that amount of money to be like, yeah, it's okay for me to spend X amount of money on like a contract killer or like someone who's...
I think that also establishes that freelancers get paid up front.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I mean, not necessarily. I could fall success. Be like, oh, yeah, this guy's eyeball is totally my verification. This guy only has one eye now. But, it's a deal I made with him. I don't kill you, I take your eye.
So powerful enemies works, and if we need to change that later, we sure can. Now comes the fun part with the phase trio, because we've already done the phase trio.
Very fun, and I'm excited to do it
with everybody else. So now we got to come up with an adventure for you to have done.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is an adventure that you definitely needed the help of other people to get done, or to make worse?
I'm going to put my prefacing because this is kind of how we did ours. I usually, and Jake, you're the GM, so tell me, Rob, shut up. Even though it's shut up, Jake. They can be shut up, Rob, for tonight. That's fine. I've usually found it good to kind of scope it as, this is the TV show of our adventures. And these adventures are basically the first half dozen episodes, the first half a season. What is the episode of our show that features you, and what happens?
The first episode that really features your character.
Right. You could be in the other ones, you're just not the central figure.
That makes sense. I would say that the first episode is where I got a contract that wasn't so close and shut, and I needed more technical skills to succeed in what I was doing. Maybe I needed to provide some sort of corporate espionage or something like that in order to take someone down instead of just straight up killing them. And I needed to use a scientist or someone with a much more technical background in order to fulfill this goal, because I did not have that technical background, but I did have the contacts to reach out to someone like Rob to get the appropriate information.
I think you're skipping ahead.
Yes. So go ahead, Sergio.
Sorry, I think you're skipping ahead in your story. This is a part where you explain only you matter right now before anybody crosses paths with you.
So
I went this and this cool thing.
Yeah. What was the contract that you had trouble with?
The contract was I needed to discredit a particular inventor who came out with a new blueprint that allowed a different means of energy production versus the popular one that was currently being used.
Okay, well, that leads me to a second character question. do you see your character as often doing disinformation campaigns? Because that isn't the first thing that comes to mind when I think mercenary in a custom-built war sleeve. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just throwing it out there as like, again, this is the introduction to your character in the world. This is the first time anyone sees you.
No, that's true. So you want something much more iconic.
Well, more you, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it could be you're on a protection circuit and you end up getting trapped like a protection detail, and you end up getting trapped somewhere with the mark. I get something stuck in my eye. That's great. And then you need a technical solution to get out, or something like that. Or you're on a hit and you need a technical solution to get in, or something.
Okay, how about I am on a hit and I go in there with nothing to lose, so I don't have any planning or backup or anything like that. And I finish and I take out I finish the contract, I kill who I need to kill, but now I'm being swarmed by whatever sort of authority figures that are there, but I do not have an exit strategy. So I contact one of my powerful associates to get me in contact with someone who would have the skills to get me an exit strategy right then and there.
Okay, yeah, that fits pretty well with the shady mercenary with nothing to lose concept. So now what would be an aspect that you'd want to build off of that particular situation?
It'll all work out.
Okay. You should put ... Trust me. Because ellipses are the best thing ever in aspects. I hold that now, I held that then, and I hold that forever.
And which one of you fine gentlemen would be able to rescue me from this predicament I put my character in? Who's got the skills to pay the bills?
I think well, I mean, we're both going to be involved in your story, so
yes.
We don't get aspects from it, but we do fill out your story. I'm thinking that whatever your predicament is, I hastily cobbled together some nasty-ass assault drone with a single seat that was very uncomfortable. And I'm changing the name of that stunt, by the way. I mean, I'm keeping the stunt, but I'm changing the name of it to "There's no kill like overkill."
That sounds good. Overkill was underrated.
That's not bad either. So I'm kind of imagining you're like, you're captured, but you still don't want to like alert the whole system, right? You're like on your communicator, or you're cornered. You're on your communicator to your contact, who's like, look, man, I got to get out of here, but you got to keep it on the lowdown. I don't want like the entire system after me. Oh.
I said not the entire system.
It's like, well, the ones I just dropped that drone on, they are not alive anymore. So
they won't know about it. So half the system doesn't know now.
It's very easy to make sure that half the system isn't after you. Kill half the system.
Exactly. Actually, kill 51% of the system. Then half the system can't be after you.
Thanos was an underachiever.
These numbers do not lie.
You mute yourself.
Okay. So that's that. Okay, then we've got your next aspect.
Well, he's gonna, and Sergio, you're going to be involved in his story somehow too, right? Because everyone gets two people, and we don't have Cameron, which means it's me and you.
Yep.
Right, but he should get that aspect from your intervention, or you can wait later and I can first.
There's our interventions
my
in his
idea.
story. Don't create aspects. They're just to fill out his story.
Yeah, they're
All right,
just
we have the opposite thing. Let's say, okay, I fine you for not filling the right people.
actually that would be hilarious to see this giant hulking warframe having to fill out paperwork at the end.
Yeah, actually, yeah. When you're I don't know, safe in the back in a station or planet or something, I've been tracking you, and I track everybody. Maybe not tracking you. Maybe you meet me, and what what exactly can I do here?
You could
I mean,
probably profit after finding me because I probably have substantial insurance claims that are
very
chasing
I'm
me.
very straight-laced kind of guy, basically a Boy Scout. So
Well, yeah, I
we do
mean, like
something
as a
good
Boy
for you.
Scout, you could like report to these insurance companies that have been looking for me for like years to be like, hey, this guy who's caused like $2 million worth of like collateral damage, I know where he is, so that you can go ahead and get the retributions that you need for you. But I don't know if that's the type of Boy Scout that you like see yourself.
I didn't exactly understand that part, but
So say I've for like almost like Bash the Stampede or something like that, where I've created a substantial amount of property damage, and insurance claim agents have put out warrants for me because I have created this substantial amount of property damage, and you could report me to those insurance companies to be like, hey, I found this guy who has destroyed millions and millions of dollars worth of property. Do you want to pursue him?
Actually,
now I
I
want to
think
see an aspect like the humanoid typhoon.
I think I do that, but then because I have contacts with all the royal people, I actually put you to some kind of community service. So that's how I bring you to the group. Like basically, I say, well, okay, you this something wrong, but you can pay for it.
You can work your time off.
You can work. Yeah, I be your parole officer. You can work for your time off. And I actually risked my reputation. Saying no, I think deep down this is a decent person. I know I can get, I don't know, him to do some good for the community or something. But it's not like I'm going to force you to change. Just basically, yeah, put you to work.
So I was going to make that aspect parole officer has high expectations.
Yeah, because my idea is I'm this Boy Scout, will be a paladin or something. But I don't really mess with. I don't think that everybody around me is obligated to be perfect. So as long as I am trying to, that's enough for me. I do try to the greater good or whatever it is.
Just a reminder, you don't get an aspect out of this one, Mies, by the rules. I mean, you can do whatever you want.
Well, he still hasn't actually done his aspect for the adventure yet.
Right, that's true.
So you get the one aspect there, and then you get an aspect for each of the other adventures you get involved in.
It will work out thing. Everything will work out. Wasn't that the aspect?
Was that?
Yes, it was.
Okay,
yeah.
Everything will work out. That was the aspect from his story. But now he gets aspect from injecting himself into one of our stories. I think that's by the rules, right?
Okay.
Yes,
who wants to describe their adventure or their story?
Mine is written down. I can just read back to you.
Yep, I'm bringing mine up too.
Okay.
While I'm hunting some space poachers, I am attacked and left for dead in the freezing tundra cold. Then a genetically engineered space wolf saves me, basically, and I keep him, and he's my companion dog. And we fight crime. They fight crime. One is
Then
a
they fight
one is a
crime.
space mountie. The other is actually they fight crime. And then, well, that's what happens to me. And then I think you, Rob, helps me to rescue me. Something like that. So that's will be my story. So maybe you do something. You can do something helpful, or you can even do something bad. Like you could be, I don't know, helping the enemy, or assisting me. It's supposed to be not necessarily like my ally in this point. Could be before. This could be have happened before we officially met.
So how did you initially get?
Generally, it's either during or after, right after we initially met. So I mean, think of like Firefly, right? Like half the characters, half the time, they're not helping. It's a good ensemble show because the characters are complicating things as much as they are helping out.
Yes.
So maybe. So how exactly did you get trapped there? Like so that you needed some of that dog.
So I went. I was on the trail of this guy. So I followed them to a cold planet. I followed them to their camp. Eventually, they jumped me or something like that, and I fought them. They actually probably beat me. Yeah, actually, in the end, I should have captured them probably in my adventure, but and then they just leave me from there in the middle of nowhere, basically to freeze to death. I'm not trapped anyway. I'm unconscious, and this dog drags me like out to safety, and that helps me to survive. And somebody in the group managed to rescue me. So I should actually add in the end we get the poachers. Okay.
Well, and remember, it doesn't actually have to be directly linked. Like, it has to be directly consequential. But you could have been you could have been the one that accidentally tipped off the guys. Like, you could have attacked them first and actually set them on edge, and that could be one of your incomplete, tasks.
So I was thinking something like an aspect of Heartless, where I actually saw him dying in the snow, and it was like, this is not worth my time, and just left him there.
It's a little bit. It's a little bit.
That's ice cold. That's bad.
Yeah, that's cold. I'm not sure how that will work out. Like they're like just passing by.
Well, I'm just passing. Well, yeah, no, I guess Heartless doesn't. That is far too
this is not like a
disconnected.
populated. This is not
Yeah.
populated area.
Okay, so this is like a deserted planet where there's very few settlements.
Yeah, it's just a pirate basis.
Okay.
I think.
And again, I think it's safe.
You could have been doing something in the pirate base.
Well, I think it's safe to assume that like we kind of know each other by this point generally. What could be interesting in this case is like you also happen to have an assignment that you were doing in the area that was maybe involved somehow or opposing.
Yeah. And cause purposeful sabotage of his mission in order to be able to complete mine, or something like that. And using him providing me, like, he provided me with enough information for me to be aware of what's going on, and that allowed me to succeed in my mission.
A bit selfish.
Yeah, something like that. Some sort of.
I'm definitely getting a little Jane vibe off of this dude.
Yeah.
Yes, that sounds good. So yeah, you will get an aspect like that, some kind of selfishness, or my come first. Okay? Always looking out for number one.
Okay.
Well, it sounds like your aspect.
See here if I can fancy it up. mean, I don't want this to take any sort of political meaning, but I kind of think the best option is capitalist. Like,
You
not.
could be ice cold capitalist.
Yeah, I guess like just emotionalist capitalist, or yeah, high school capitalist. Or the money comes first.
I like that better.
Yeah, that's more useful, I think. Or like, I think.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
And my character's sounding like a real bastard.
Oh, I played with Frank. You're nothing.
Yeah.
Frank is a master at building characters that I'm pretty sure are actually evil and maybe Satan. And then he'll explain to you in detail why. No, you just don't understand.
No, this is fine.
The best ever was Ron was playing a Captain America type, and Frank was playing the evilest version of Han Solo ever.
I'm a slaver with narcotics. Okay.
Oh, yeah, probably. We were never quite sure what that crazy man was coming up with, but never have him in a superhero game.
Well,
I'll just explain to you why lying, killing, and stealing is definitely superheroic behavior.
I mean, it can be if you're doing it to the bad guys. This is what all the comics have told me.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Rob, then I think it's your adventure next.
So
he has to be involved in.
My adventure was I was commissioned to create some new weaponry, so I created a super cool ray gun. Unfortunately, it had the side effect of basically turning whatever it hit into nasty monstrosities from beyond space.
Nice.
Hijinks ensued.
And just to be clear, Rob's character has also been modifying the guns on your ship. So I'm just saying, it's entirely possible.
All right. Well, I guess
you don't want to be anywhere near it when it goes off.
Probably hired me to dispose of the waste of his quote-unquote hijinks, and I guess we could call that last aspect. Are you sure this is legal?
Which actually fits in well because Mr. Space Mountie then hauled me into the appropriate office to get the appropriate licensing for my incredibly experimental, dangerous, dimensional rift opening guns.
So I built a gun that shoots ghosts. What?
It's fine.
You act like that's bad.
Who hasn't seen the resurrected dead grandmother?
All right. Yeah, see, you're not even close.
I saw the best description of the Cloverfield paradox the other day. It was less good event horizon.
That's a low bar.
That's good, yeah.
Can't argue.
That takes some doing. I mean, it's not terrible, but
I liked Event Horizon.
I
entertaining.
I have a low tolerance for horror, so I didn't enjoy it at all.
But you didn't see the original cut, which was apparently worse. Like it was actual hell or something. I don't know.
I don't do horror. That is not my bag.
I'm not a fan too.
I'm
either.
Terrified of everything as it is. I don't need extra things to be afraid of.
And I don't like some zombie movies or zombie series because they just make me sad. Something like that.
Zombies freak me out. I don't. It's mostly that whatever that black stuff is that they put in the actors' mouths to make their teeth get that weird look to it. That freaks me out. Just that. Like the rest of the zombie makeup, I'm okay with. It's just Whatever that black goo that oozes out of the zombies' mouths, I'm just like, no.
Yeah, to
We've
me, it's
gone
more
too
like
far.
to me, it's not even the monsters that are scary or anything. It's like, whoa, that's like a bummer. Like, oh, the worst really. Yes, I don't need that.
I'm just afraid of things that are icky. There's actually a specific phobia for that. I can't remember what it's called, but basically means you don't like things that are icky. If it looks sticky or slimy or gross, I'm like, no, that's just no good. On the other hand, giant monster movies all day long. I have almost all the giant snake movies that aired on Sci-Fi. There is a surprisingly large number of giant snake movies. I mean, there's the 3 Anaconda movies, naturally, and then there's Boa, Python, Boa versus Python, Boa 2, which has nothing to do with the first Boa at all, and that's just weird.
Anaconda boa.
And then, of course, there's King Cobra, which isn't as good.
They need one called Boaconda.
Oh my gosh, I could film that. I could write that right now. I mean, honestly, it wouldn't take more than 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think Anaconda 4 or 5 or 7 or something was how like
I could sell that to Asylum. I could sell that to Asylum Studios.
Was a
What
snake
could
with
you
a
not
healing.
sell to them?
Hey, I love the Mega Shark series.
Hey, I have a blast watching them every time too.
Yeah, I think they actually give the snake a healing factor like Wolverine at some point. It was just regenerating.
Boa is my favorite of them all. Not just because it has Dean Cain in it, and I love Dean Cain, but because it's set in a super prison in Antarctica, and that's just the most ridiculous thing ever. You're like, wait a minute. So the snake is hunting them in a frozen landscape. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I like giant snake movies.
It's fun.
Okay, so we've got we've got your aspects, yeah.
Yeah.
I think now we have to do a stunt.
Skills.
Well, we don't have to do stunts.
You probably need skills first.
But you will need at least your top 3 skills.
Here's what I was thinking for skills.
Just to recap, we have like if this is important, we have like a melee guy, a science guy, and the pilot, which is a driving guy.
Okay.
These are our main top skills of all.
Your skills look fine, and again, we can always manipulate those.
Yeah, no. I want to make sure I fit within the group.
Yeah, actually, I don't think we have a lot of contacts in our skills in our sheet, so that's sounds nice. Sounds like a
ties in well with the powerful enemies thing.
But how do you see your character? Because again, you're the first. Just like Cameron was the first mystic, so we had to actually kind of define what mystics were. You're the first war sleeve. So what exactly is a war sleeve? Now remember, you were designed to fight.
If I'm a war sleeve, that is no longer being like. If I'm no longer owned, I kind of see myself as just a freelancer who's willing to get re-sleeved to get a job done, and that's where kind of that reckless abandonment comes from, where it's like, yeah, sure, put me in this high-end sleeve that's fit for this very specific skill. I don't care if I die during that.
You re-sleeve every mission then?
If necessary, yeah. I mean, it'd be nice to have a constant sleeve, but that's expensive. Because the stuff I do, I probably will die doing, and I'll need a new sleeve. Well, that sleeve will die. That's my perspective, at least, where it's just like I'm willing to roll the dice every time I get re-sleeved.
Okay, but what are the sleeves, like with a war sleeve, what is that? What does that look like? Because, again, you were designed to fight spaceships. So...
You need to make down payments on your sleeves. Like maybe you have a
that's another thing. It's like, okay,
a sleeve loan.
Yeah,
is that part of your contract where you're like, okay, I have resurrection clauses in all of my contracts?
Within my contract, assuming that things don't go bad during the re-sleeving. Yeah, that I think that would be kind of standard for every contract, being like, oh, you want me to go in and kill like this high-end guy in a corporation, and I know I'm going to have to go through like 17 high war-sleeved bodyguards to go through this. I might die doing this. I might get permakill doing this. Let's make sure if I die, my sleeve dies, you get me out of prison and get me re-sleeved. Okay, thanks. That'd be like my ideal, like, high-end concept, but I don't know if that fits into everyone else's lore. If that makes sense.
Well, we've got almost everybody here. So how does that sound as a?
I think that's more or less
I was seeing re-sleeving, like when we first talked about it, I was seeing it more as a kind of more ritualistic, more. You didn't do it very often.
Yeah,
was how I was seeing it.
Right, but you had like the high society ring sleeves, which are like the Methuselahs, and then
But
the war
even then-
sleeves were like
even
the
then we
elite
established-
soldiers.
But even then, we established that the high society people they only re-sleeved like
Right.
every
To
so often. It wasn't
Yeah.
all the
to
time.
extend their lives, but probably war sleeves will be more at risk of dying in combat. So maybe like my thought was that you're so strong as possible. So you die. If you die, we just recover your soul or whatever, make you a new body, and then you go fight. Like war sleeves were soldiers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
So-
wouldn't think like a Methuselah's like sleeve would be anywhere near tech equivalent to like a war sleeve. Like a war sleeve would probably have like neurochem enhancements where they're like easier to quickly react to things. But I would see like a Methuselah sleeve being able to have like extra additional memory compartmentalization added into it, or higher end processing so they can deal with like large scale numbers and things like that. I would see like the war sleeves would be much more like biochem and like reactive based, where it's like,
Well, they have to be biochem because
Yeah,
if they're not, then you'd get taken over by
Yeah.
the AI.
They're basically super soldiers, like
Yeah.
Captain America or something like that. But disposable bodies. That's I think that fits what I thought was war sleeves were about.
Okay, so maybe then war
Talking
sleeves
about
are
it.
actually cheaper and easier,
cheaper and easier
more
and
and they
combat
wear,
oriented.
and they wear out more or something like that.
yeah, like
Well,
maybe
then
their
maybe-
half-life is incredibly short, where it's like this only lasts for like a month and then you start aging rapidly.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we could do it like what is it? The werewolf stunt from Dresden. You know, where you can, when you re-sleeve, you can swap out your skills.
could look at something like that.
I was just thinking out loud.
Yeah,
So
as a setting thing, I would say the re-sleeving that the rich people do probably doesn't have the quick wearing out problem.
yeah, no, they last for forever, or well, a long time. They've got
Right.
warranty. They got warranties and whatnot.
Yeah, probably have like I don't know 200 years per body or something like that. Like not crazy long, but since they just keep going. The new
Yeah,
one.
well,
But requiring constant re-sleeves is a good way of keeping the war sleeves and the other people
in control. Yeah.
under control. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could see like old like war sleeve bums that are just super decrepit. And it's like, yeah, I decided not to turn myself in 2 months ago, and now it looks like I'm 90 and dying on the side of the street.
Hmm. Okay, I can work with that.
So the majority of war sleeves are probably career, like in the military,
Yeah, that's more than likely the only
and
way.
they get their sleeves for free
Mhm.
from the army.
Because
But if you are a mercenary, you're like split up from one of those.
Because they're special, and war sleeves are basically people who were born or who were in utero through faster than light, and so they don't have. Now, do you have a demon in your head, or are you a null? Because I think that we might have to go back and do some altering on an aspect then if you got a demon in your head.
I agree with this. All right, so let's see. Let's go high or low. High or low. Say if I roll high, I have one. Low, I do not.
Okay.
And I got a 25, so I do not.
Okay, so you're a null.
I am a null, which is kind
They're-
of good, but kind
Yeah,
of
they're
bad.
you're just immune.
Yeah, but at the same time, that kind of makes me a little retarded. No, that's fine.
Well, I mean, having a demon in your head is cool.
This is true.
And it would also mean that we'd have to establish more stuff about what that means because, again, that was just something we came up with, and we don't have an actual definition of what that means in game.
At the least, I will say trying to possess somebody will be create some kind of aspect on them. So narratively, it doesn't make sense to do that.
Well, I think it would be mental stress, and then the goal would be to stress you out, and then
Could be a
take
stunt,
over.
like a super resistance to mental, right?
Yeah, like have
Last
a
year to
stun on
defend
will or something like
something.
that.
You could, although, again, being a war sleeve means you are immune to that whole thing. Like, that's what the aspect means there.
Yeah.
That type of conflict can't come to you.
So would that mean that I would add the additional aspect of a war sleeve, but then that would mean that I'd be working with 4 aspects? Is that
I probably add that in the concept.
Well, it's
like,
already in your high concept.
That's
mercenary
true.
war
That's
slave.
true.
If it says
Let
war
me
slave, then
adjust
fine.
that.
Okay.
So one of the reasons you need the money is because you have to enslave too.
Well, yeah. Now you've also got a reason for why you got enemies in high places when you screwed them over, so you could get money fast, so you could get a new body.
I needed to get a new body really fast because, yeah, I imagine that's just like a domino effect where, like, oh god.
All right. So we've established. We've got a rough idea of your character. We don't need to work out stunts just yet. We can wait till something comes up in game, and then we can say, okay, this is what you need a stunt for, or whatever. So let's come up with a basic scenario. Do you want to say he was with you on your last mission, or was he on his own mission?
I think he should show up maybe because we were starting. I don't know. Whatever. What do you mean?
Because if he was on his own mission, this could be one of those ones where I could have some fun by making him having worked for one of the governor's men rather than the lieutenant governor's men, and he pissed them off. so now he's on your side, and that kind of adds an extra layer of conflict. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of fun to be had from, having him not been with us.
Yeah, okay. So what mission did you just screw up, but technically do enough of to get paid? What mission are you in the middle of screwing up? Maybe an even better question.
I was supposed to deliver money to a third-party information broker, and instead of delivering the money, I ended up taking the money and killing that third-party information broker and using my deceive to lie to the person that originally hired me to say, oh, we went there, things went sour, they took the money, but I ended up killing the information broker. But his second hand ran off with the money.
Okay.
And maybe that is quickly unraveling.
Okay, so does that mean then you're in a fresh sleeve? Or
Relatively fresh, yeah. I probably would have gotten a newish sleeve for this contract that I just lied to the person who gave me the contract that I completed.
okay,
Or maybe like part of me completing this contract was them getting me a new sleeve. Because my old sleeve was about to die, and that's why I decided to botch it as much as I botched it.
okay, okay. And so, all right, so, and this guy works. The guy you're talking to works for the lieutenant, or not the lieutenant. He works for the governor. And you've technically, let's see. Let's go ahead and roll, because you're lying to him. Let's go ahead and roll that deceit and see if it starts unraveling.
Where is this occurring?
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, this is probably occurring at the
Same
well, it would
building?
be at the troubleshooter's main kind of embarking office, I guess. I imagine it's in the city hall, in the big moving city. You know, where the city moves however it needs to move. And so in the center, there's this giant spire that is the city hall. It's got a big clock that's projected out, so everybody in the city can see it at any time, unless, of course, the walls crush you. But and so it's where it's basically the center of the government, and it's also got a bunch of offices on the side that are for troubleshooters, because there's maybe 10 or 12 of you on the planet at any given time. And that's where bounties are, or various jobs for the job boards, as well as the less savory jobs. And so there's always a bunch of high-level functionaries or low-level functionaries running around like crazy. Think of it like the DMV, but full of guys with guns. But seeing as you're talking to one of the higher level guys, he works for the governor, you'd be in one of the glass partitioned offices in the back.
Right.
And so you're now trying to convince him. If I'm making sure I understand. You're trying to convince him that you were forced to kill the guy because he betrayed you, and then his underling ran off with the money, and you definitely did not run off with the money.
Yes.
Now,
I
now remember, you're trying to lie to a politician, a thousands of years old politician.
That big bag you're carrying, that's
I'm just pointing this out so that way when you hear how high it rolls, you're not going to freak out.
No, that's fine. That makes sense.
So
I'm only working with a +1 here too with my deceive.
okay, good times. Well, I didn't roll that well. I only rolled a 0. So overall, that's a +3. 3, yes, 3, because deceit is just maxed out, so that's a 4. But 3 for him to discover what.
Rolling empathy or deceive?
It's empathy for him to figure out. He didn't pick up the stunt that lets him use deceit for that.
I'm not that cool. All right, let's see here. Sorry, I'm getting my conversion with my D6s.
D6.
Yeah.
-8. What's it?
So what's my negative that I'm working with here?
Oh well, he got a +3 on his empathy.
Oh no. Well, I got a +2 on my deceit.
Okay.
So this would be. So yeah, I mean.
Well, this was a straight up kind of overcome.
So it doesn't look like he's buying your story. Dot.
It does not.
I went there, and I'm pretty sure that one of the lower level troubleshooters, the low level functionary troubleshooters, tipped off these guys, and I think one of his hirelings, offed him and ran off with the money. Man, he's dead when I showed up. I don't know.
So do you have something you want to invoke here?
Yeah, you can always invoke an aspect.
And
or create an aspect and invoke it.
And to be perfectly honest, man, I'm not even sure you telling me to go there has any legal premise. I'm really not sure this is all that legal.
The other thing that you could do in this case is invent a stunt if you feel that certain types of deception are something your character should be good at, even though they're not necessarily good at it in general. This would be a good time to invent that stunt. Throwing it out there. Those are your options. Or you could just fail and have him not believe you.
I kind of don't think he's going to believe me.
So you mean the suitcase full of money we gave you that you're holding on to right now was stolen?
This is my suitcase.
That's my laundry.
Officer gave this to me.
That's my.
He said that I had to keep a watch on it.
We're all fine here now. How are you?
Right. I don't think that's going to go well there.
Okay. All right. Well, because you didn't invoke anything, right? And you didn't use a stunt or anything, correct?
No.
So you did fail. Okay.
Yes.
Well, seeing as the stakes were either convince him of this or he doesn't believe you, he doesn't believe you, and I'm trying to think of the best way to go about this. So I think this is what I want to do. And Rob, tell me if this is stupid. So I would like to basically make this guy kind of the living embodiment of what's your character's name?
My character's name is Robin Styling.
All right. He's going to become basically the living embodiment of Robin's trouble of powerful enemies.
Makes sense.
And so I have one of two ways this could go. One is he's going to demand basically that you work for free on the next task he sends you on, and the other one is.
Can I throw out an idea?
Yeah, go for it. Because I'm trying to work.
He has a way to take the money back. Takes the money back, which leaves our friend Robin in desperate need of a re-sleeve in a body that is starting to fail.
Okay, yeah.
Which would be an aspect on him.
Yeah, let's go with that. That actually sounds good. So Mies, you now have pissed off a guy who's friends with the head of the planet. And your body is going to start failing very soon. You have an aspect of your body is starting to fail. Or even better, no money and my body is starting to fail. And that's going to be on you till you can solve that particular issue. And as you step out, you run into your three friends who you've worked with before. And they're all getting yelled at literally by the lieutenant governor, who's basically screaming, "I'll see you in court," and also, "I'll see you in hell."
Was this before or after we listened to the bug?
This is before.
Okay.
So
what did you do?
and then because then I think it would be. because the bug is something you can then play with later. But this is that moment when you walk out of the office, and he's just announced he's going to try and destroy you.
I think we are too competent. Doesn't work well with bureaucracies.
I think my biggest weakness is I'm just too good at everything.
And what are each of your characters' names there?
For what?
I am Jamie. Professor
names.
Jamie Ackers. And don't forget the professor.
I am Constable Barton Tracer, who has my dog's name is Mac something. Let me see what's the name. The dog, Mackenzie.
And he's from Space Canada.
Yeah, from Space Canada.
It's like Canada, but in space.
All right, so I got Professor J and Maximilian. Got it.
Wow.
Because who needs to pay attention to the details, right? All right.
At least I think that's what
why don't you
call you.
guys? Why don't you guys give a physical descriptions of yourselves too? Because this is kind of your first time meeting. Again, it's a low ceilinged. I mean, it really does look like it was slapped together. It should be cubicles and whatnot. There's a couple glass partition offices, and then the rest of it's all plastic chairs and ugly desks, and maybe 10-foot tall ceilings made of asbestos.
Oh man, my favorite.
I'm a tall guy, clean shaven, wearing a red uniform and a Stetson hat. So exactly what you'd think a space Mountie will look like.
The Stetson hat, if you push a button on the side, it becomes a space helmet. It's
a space Stetson. All about the uniform looks like normal, but you can maybe tell there's a few sci-fi elements in it. So you probably can see like a spacesuit or something. I don't know. Whatever setting is. Yeah, basically, I have my dog with me right now because I think it's appropriate to bring him into an official building without permission.
Well, I mean, you still have your gun, so I mean, how dangerous can a dog be?
Right. I sometimes have my gun. You can never know for sure.
I'm kind of imagining myself as skinny, kind of disheveled looking. You know, lots of pouches with various random things on me, dark hair, kind of shifty-eyed. Definitely shifty-eyed. Yeah, definitely shifty-eyed.
Like, so what did the guy look like? Well, he was shifty. I can say that with certainty.
Definitely shifty.
So right. Now that we've done with that, how about we go and listen to some entertainment?
Okay, yeah, and then you're going to go into one of the other cubicles or whatever.
This might be too sci-fi for us, but this is kind of how I sleep. I see a lot of like the sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
This terrible image is very designed and built for purpose and not for aesthetics. This is what a human would look like if they were crash resistant. Like, so they could have much better like compartmentalization and crumpling when they hit dense objects. But that might just be me being me.
Well, you're the only war sleeve here, so you get to decide how it looks. That's
I think
fine.
they would look kind of freakish and disgusting.
Well, probably. I mean, they'd probably give you a tarp or something to wear.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
So you'd look like that, but in a muumuu.
Yeah.
And that makes it so much better.
What was the God? There was like a movie that had somebody like that in it, wasn't there?
Here's
Like some.
here's the like video concept of it.
Okay, so where did you guys head off to listen to the bug? And Cameron's with you somewhere, or his character's with you.
Do we have like? What does one of us have an office or like a place that we're like living at or
There's,
something?
like I said, there's kind of like roving desks and roving cubicles.
Okay.
So like whoever's there, because again, there's only about 10 actual troubleshooters on planet at any given time. So.
Right. Nobody wants. I don't think we want to be sitting here listening to this in some place to be obvious that we're listening to a bugged conversation.
So you could maybe go to a bar or something. Let's come up with the standard troubleshooter sketchy bar.
Have you read Neuromancer? I think they had like bars with these booths that had like internet cafes. Like basically everything was an internet cafe. But probably something like that.
All right.
Like internet cafe.
And we can call the bar "The Sky Is Static."
Tuned to the color of a dead TV channel.
Yeah, but that's too obvious, and honestly, nobody remembers it thousands of years in the future. So all they remember is the sky is static. That's where you can go to get your digital booze. Which is probably not a thing, but just in case, I'm patenting it now.
It's a marketing gimmick. Yeah, our booze is digital. Yeah, that's
you use your hands to drink it. Therefore, it's digital.
There are apps where you can pay $1 to purchase a digital beer. I mean,
well, sure.
Well, of course. Why not?
Look, if people are dumb enough to buy it, I'm smart enough to sell it.
Watch, I can burn money.
Oh, there's more fun ways to burn money. All right. I mean, go to Vegas. It's the same as burning money. All right. So, yeah. So you go to The Sky Is Static.
I'm going to find the perfect Sky Is Static video.
Now I've got a really interesting idea for a character there. So the bartender, he's a big, lumpy-looking, kind of balding potato sack of a man. Doesn't really serve so much as, he's there. Everyone remembers him as always being there. Nobody knows where he lives. He might just live in the back. His name is Gus. Or at least that's what everyone calls him. He doesn't really answer other than to ask what you want. The lights are low and kind of flickering LEDs. And every table is hooked up to an internet, but there is no Wi-Fi. The whole world, there's no Wi-Fi because that's way too easy for red caps to infiltrate. So there's actual big, thick fiber optic cable running up from the table through the lights and to a central mainframe. And so it's an internet, but it's an internet that's only in the bar. It doesn't go outside the bar. So if it's not on the bar's mainframe, it's not there. On the other hand, decades and decades and decades of troubleshooters coming here has put lots of really interesting and weird things on the bar's mainframe. So there's always a chance something useful is there, which is, again, part of why people come here. It's like carving secret messages into the table and whatnot.
All right. Once we get into the bar, I'm going to kind of ignore them focusing on the bug and kind of delve into the mainframe and try to use my notice to find any sort of job postings because I know this body is going to fail and I need a new one fast.
Okay.
I will go to the bar and I order 2 very strong black teas. One for each of us, and I will to join you in the table. Join the professor in the table to hear the back, see what's what.
I will definitely be at the same booth as you guys, but not necessarily dedicating my full attention to what's happening.
Then make that 3 black teas.
Okay.
I'll bring the cups with me.
He gives you 3 dark beers. That's black tea in this place.
Gus, the sack of potatoes ain't too bright.
Don't ask him for coffee. It's just going to end
God.
poorly.
Hey, you can get a coffee stout. You don't know.
No, he'll probably just give you cocaine.
Jeez. Coco?
Coffee? Cocaine. Coffee. Cocaine. Coffee.
So I sip mine. I realize, oh, this is not what I ordered. And I basically start installing my own brewer thingy. My survival. I start making my own tea on the table. Yeah, start boiling my water on the table, making my own tea.
Gus gives you a dirty look. He doesn't approve of outside food and drinks, but he doesn't want to get off of his stool, so you're fine.
How does Gus deliver these accoutrements if he never moves from the stool?
He just sets them on the bar.
You have to come
yeah,
and get
because the constable got them. He even said he went up and got them. So you don't get a potato sack body by moving around a lot. Okay,
You're not wrong.
It takes work. It takes dedication. People say, "Why don't you have a 6-pack abs?" And he says, "Well, I've got a keg." So, and I'll never get tired of that joke, and one day somebody's going to laugh at it. Not today, obviously, but... All right. So you're digging through, looking for a job that will get you either a new sleeve or enough money for a new sleeve.
Or one I think I can easily pretend to finish.
Now, remember, this isn't a jobs board here. This is just where troubleshooters leave random information over decades. So actually, I think this would be closer to... did we replace lore?
Yeah, science.
With science, okay.
Do we need another skill in exchange for it?
Yeah, we swapped out lore with science, remember? I think.
Yeah, but do we need something that's an equivalent of lore?
Like a streetwise kind of a skill?
History, streetwise, anything, I'm not sure.
What do you guys think?
I think
Because
lore
right
is
now
good
we don't
because
like.
I think lore is good because it's not just science, right? So many things you might know, like even literature or history.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think science covers it because contacts would cover like streetwise kind of stuff.
Okay.
I was
And
thinking
making
more
calls. Making calls.
Like ghosts, yeah. Like lore is like, oh, did you hear about the space ghost that goes and takes care of like mining vessels that only have 2 crewmates on board, or like that's the kind of lore that I was thinking.
More like rumors.
Oh.
Like rumors and hearsay.
Well, that's covered in contacts.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
You're probably using contacts to make calls or something like that.
I would from what I recall, and I have a very skewed perspective of Fate because mine was adapted for like Mass Effect. Context could be utilized to gain specific items because you would normally not be able to obtain those items because you didn't have the right contacts.
Usually that's resources in Fate. Contact is more like, I know a guy. You know the guy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what area sciences wouldn't cover, like history and that sort of thing would be like.
That's a little science, yeah.
That would be maybe we could call that academics.
Sure.
If you want to go that route, like have another skill. I don't know if we need another skill. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, I think science is fine.
I think the same. Yeah, it's basically the same, right? Lore, science, academics is more or less the same skill.
All right. So, and so you're looking for some piece of information that will lead you to that. Okay, I've got a crazy idea. All right, go ahead and roll. What would be good for digging into computer programs? I guess science. Go ahead and roll science.
+1.
Total?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm watching him do his hacking, and I'm laughing.
you're like, it's baby's first hack.
No. After you do, 10,
I downloaded these scripts.
After you do 10, print hello world. You have to do 20, go to 10.
You put them in a recursive loop for the next 2 minutes. It's just for fun. All right. All right, we're going to say you succeed at a cost, unless you want to spend an invoke, because the difficulty was a +2. Well, if you don't want to, I mean, you can, because again, you're going to refresh at the beginning of the next session. So,
no, I'll go ahead and spend a point.
Okay. So you what are you invoking?
I'm going to go ahead and invoke the money comes first. Maybe I can even utilize the information that I'm hearing from the bug that they're overviewing to my advantage.
Okay, so the money comes first. I like that. You invoke that, which means I think I can compel that and still say the success works, right, Rob? This is one of those areas where compels are funky to me. It's
generally once you drop the dice, you're kind of out of compel territory.
No, I want to compel the follow-on. He succeeded. I want to compel onto that success, and I think I can do that just fine, right?
Well, what's your compel?
Well, basically, he's invoking, so he succeeds at getting it. I want to compel to add a complication to the success.
I would kind of see it as a separate thing. Like I personally usually don't mix rolls and compels. It's kind of weird.
I know.
Because compels kind of happen the narrative way in the narrative space versus successes and rolls happen in the kind of the mechanical space.
All right.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I would probably do it as a compel after the success.
All right. So here's what you find, Robin. You find a mention of a man who claimed to know where an ancient resleeving factory was hidden in the system. Basically, it was lost centuries and centuries and centuries ago. But the machines should all still work. And it's mention of a guy who knows where this is. And we'll call this guy Sonny Jim. And so you now have basically an address and a name of somebody who knows basically where you could get an entire resleeving facility for, well, maybe not for free, but definitely where you could get a hold of one, and that would probably have the equipment needed to get you a new body.
Okay.
Maybe even a really good one, like a Methuselah body. Because now I'm starting to put things together. I think I have the makings of something like an adventure going forward.
I think if I discover that information, I would immediately reach out to some of my contacts to be like, hey,
reach out.
Wouldn't that be great if you had a full resleeving factory? And all you got to do is just let me have sleeves for free.
Forever.
Forever. That's, but man, wouldn't that be a great investment for you? Because, I mean, how often am I going to need sleeves?
Are you sharing any of this info with your party people?
Oh, no.
Okay, so while he's doing
no,
this,
well, actually, you can probably see it because you've been watching me hack, and so
That's
you can
true.
probably be
Actually,
seeing me like type
Rob,
this crap out.
yeah.
roll notice, actually. See if you actually did notice it. You know, like,
Notice. Killing me.
I got a +3 on my contacts roll.
Oh, I'm gonna grab some dice. I think I'm gonna put notice at +1 because why not? Are you trying to hide this?
I am not being surreptitious at all. I'm
Okay.
completely oblivious. I assume
So,
you guys are interested.
all you need
in
is a positive result, Rob.
And let's see what we got here. Not looking good. Not looking good. Oh, nope, not good.
He didn't get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably the other end of the table and not like really
So
good.
you think he
Probably not
found
even paying
Taylor?
attention.
Uh,
What?
you think Rob? The
Yeah.
professor thinks that he found a series of tailors, what with all the mention of sleeves.
You're very stylish, you guys. I don't even know.
I don't. It's the moo man. It's throwing me off.
I commend. I
All
always make sure I
So,
sew.
Rob,
I
while
have my
he's
sleeves
making those
covered
contacts,
perfectly.
while he's getting in contact with his contacts, what were you going to do? Because you said you wanted to do something.
Well, I was gonna hack into his machine, into his stream, so that I could get a better idea of what the hell he's doing because he's obviously not talking.
Ah, okay. Well, if you want to, you can. But again, he's just looking at tailors. That
Sure.
doesn't even. When's that going to come up?
You say that out loud.
How dangerous could a tailor be?
Like,
Also, I'm pretty sure there was a giant who had that aspect as his trouble aspect. How dangerous
my
can a
sewing
trailer?
kit. I take out my sewing kit and I say, "Well, if you have problems with your sleeves, I can probably help you. I do have several.
I can do some basic hemming.
Yeah, I can do basically clothes repair. I always make sure my uniform's in
Okay.
top condition.
And so, Rob, at about this point, maybe this is why you're distracted and you didn't notice. Is it about this point you actually hear him talking about how he's deliberately trying to screw you over and destroy your life? The lieutenant governor.
Okay.
And so perhaps that is why you were a little distracted and didn't notice, that your friend had discovered pretty much the find of the century on accident. Robin doesn't have the location. He only knows the name of a guy who has the location.
Just Sunny Jim, and I've got his address.
Yep.
So I'm already dealing with.
And remember, it was his address when that was written.
Yeah, that's fun. I got investigation, and then on top of that, I think it kind of ties into the whole. It'll all work out. Trust me.
Okay. I'm sure nothing will go wrong.
How could it?
Okay, and I think that's about where we were at the,
Yep.
and so I think that's a good cutoff point here. So we now have, I think we have some good potential drama. Robin has pissed off one of the governor's main guys. You've pissed off the other major governmental faction.
It's fine.
But we have some leverage.
But you have, in theory, you have a potential solution to a potential big problem.
Yep.
Provided, you can trust each other long enough for all that to come together. So, I think that one went better. I think this time it went a little better than last time. I hope so anyway.
I'm sure we can trust each other because deep down, I think
Deep down, everybody's good.
Inherently good, yes.
Yeah, sure. And I have a bridge to sell you. All right. So you want to meet up again next week? Same bat time, same bat channel?
Sounds like a good idea.
I would like to, yeah. Thank you for destroying the momentum of the game to catch me up to speed. I appreciate it, guys.
Oh well, it's well.
Alright.
Cameron was going to miss today anyway, so it actually worked out pretty well. All right. Well, it's been fun. Was there anything you guys noticed? Did I screw up anything? I know last time I didn't do enough descriptions. Did I do enough this time?
Yeah,
I also have.
I think it helped. I kind of prompted you a few times. Hey, where's this going on?
Well, and by all means, if I'm not describing something enough, let me know.
Yeah.
Because in my head, it all looks cool.
Yeah. Mine's, yeah.
So I'm not. Sometimes I might miss something, and if I do, let me know. Because I can't get better if I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Totally.
But I have some cool ideas for Gus. I have some cool ideas for the governor and lieutenant governor. And I think next time we'll introduce La Resistance and maybe get some momentum moving forward and do some cool stuff.
I like it.
All right. Well, I'll see you guys next week.
All right, guys.
Sounds good.
Have a good one.